It seems like everybody is sleeping on Ondo Finance. The price isn't going anywhere in the last months. The question is why? Who's selling here? Is this potentially a buy the dip opportunity or the beginning of a big crash? Let's have a look at the data most people aren't considering. Let's have a look at the on-chain data. So we're currently at 76 cents. We are just trading in a relatively tight range, but have a look at this. This is Ondo Finance relative to the others market cap. So we are comparing Ondo Finance to the rest of the altcoin market. Is it outperforming? Is it underperforming? Completely independent of where Bitcoin or Ethereum is going. So this is a great measure of idiosyncratic performance. How much better or how much worse is Ondo Finance doing? It seems like since June of last year, Ondo wasn't able to outperform. And we did hit that relative valuations 2 times afterwards. But in the last 8 months, Ondo Finance has underperformed by 47%. And the question really is, where are we going to bounce? We already didn't hold the first support. Are we going to hold the current support, or do we need to go another step down, or another one, or another one? Let's have a look at the fundamentals. So what we see over here, that's the total value locked of Ondo Finance. So how much capital is currently in the Ondo platform? And this is actually growing over time. Isn't that surprising when there's more growth in the platform, yet the token itself underperforms the rest of the altcoin market? Ondo Finance is the leading token in the real world asset sector. It's tokenizing debt from the real economy at a growing rate, yet the market doesn't reward that growth with any outperformance. Now what you see over here, that's the fees that get generated by Ondo Finance. Over here we've got the market cap relative to the fully diluted market cap. We can already see a potential reason for the underperformance. So yes, the Ondo project is growing, but when the supply is growing at the same time, then all that matters is which growth rate is actually higher. As long as the market cap is not equal to the fully diluted valuation, we see more token issuance. Now here is that token issuance over time. We went from initially 1.5 billion Ondo tokens to then 3.4 billion Ondo tokens. So the number of Ondo tokens more than doubled. And that's of course a problem. Now, not everybody that got their tokens, for example, the development team, they're not selling their allocation all on day one and crash the price. They sell it over time. And so the first unlock happened in January of this year. And so since then, Ondo was not able to successfully outperform the rest of the altcoin market anymore. Only 33.9% of the supply has already been unlocked. There's a lot of new supply going to hit the market in the next years. Now, since this is a cliff unlock with the same size every single time, relatively speaking, the supply will grow less. As in, here was more than a doubling, but next time we are only going to grow by roughly 50% in the supply. The unlock afterwards will be even less than that. And so let's have a look at the trading activity of Ondo, and let's see how many new investors there are over time. Here's the trading volume of the Ondo token. It's relatively stable. There's not a lot of hype, which is good. We want to buy when there's little attention on the token. We want to potentially sell when there is more attention, right? This peaked in the middle of December of 2024, and that's also when the relative valuation peaked. And here we've got the liquidity in the Ondo token on chain. So how much slippage there might be when we buy and sell Ondo. In total, there are currently 169,000 holders on the Ethereum chain of the Ondo token. But some of those wallets, they might just own a few cents worth of the token, while other wallets hold hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of the token. So we have to dive into this number in a bit more detail. We have to look at how many retail investors are there over time, how many whale investors are there over time, who's buying here, who's selling here. What we see here on the left, that's the number of wallets that have at least 1,300 Ondo tokens. So that's roughly $1,000 worth of the token. That's the retail investor. On the right side, we've got the whale investor with roughly $100,000 worth of the token. In the middle, it's $10,000. So we go one order of magnitude up every single time. And we can see how the number of wallets tends to increase for all wallet cohorts. At least over the very long term. Those charts start in 2022. But have a look at how those charts look like for the last month. In the last month, the number of retail investors still went up slightly, but the number of whale investors went down. And that's something I don't like, because the whales tend to make the better calls over time. In the end, crypto is a game of both luck and skill. The longer we play the game, the more the capital concentrates towards the skilled people. So the whales tend tend to make better calls on average. They tend to have more skill. And when the smart money exits, I am listening. At least I don't like that development. Now, short term, the price development is not driven by on-chain metrics. It's actually driven by the perpetual futures market, by the bets on the price. Because have a look at the trading volume numbers. This is now for the last 24 hours on the spot market. We had only 12 million worth of trading volume on Qcoin on the spot market. But compare this with the perpetual futures market. Here we had almost 70 million worth of trading volume. So really it's the perps that determine the price, and then arbitrage bots tend to make trades every now and then on the spot market. Now have a look at this. This here shows us the funding rate for Ondo Finance. When this is positive, then there are more perpetual futures traders that are betting on rising prices. When this is negative, then there are more traders that are betting on falling prices. Usually, for most cryptocurrencies, we tend to see positive funding rates. But since the flash crash that depressed all altcoin prices, the funding rate of Ondo tends to be negative. So there were a lot of investors that got shaken out of the market, and they seem to not come back enough for Ondo Finance. They did come back for other cryptocurrencies though. This mass liquidation events of the longs happened not just for Ondo Finance, it happened for pretty much all cryptocurrencies. But seeing the funding rate not recover is again not a great sign. Here is that flash crash that I'm talking about, right? The altcoin market cap went down by 47% in the matter of just a few hours. We have now mainly recovered from that crash. Not 100%, but in general, the market has stabilized. From the beginning of the flash crash to today, the altcoin market is down only 14%. The Ondo price relative to the others market cap is stable, so it has recovered to the same degree. Yet something seems to have fundamentally shifted on the perpetual futures market. And again, that is where the short-term price discovery happens. I've got the impression that the long side is getting cautious with buying into Ondo right now because of the tokenomics. It's not that far anymore to the next unlock. In the middle of January of next year, so less than 2 months from now, we will see the Ondo supply grow again by roughly 50%. The trading volume on the perpetual futures market for Ondo hasn't necessarily come down. It's at a pretty constant rate. The open interest, so the amount of bets on the price, have of course crashed. It went from 500 million all the way down to 150 million. It has recovered much less than the overall market. And given this situation here, I think it's better to wait until we see a turnaround in the momentum. I simply think it's hard to make a prediction where we will actually see the price bottoming out again. We have failed to keep prior supports, and there is plenty of more room to fall. Again, even the very risk-seeking investor is currently staying away, probably because of the potential selling that might come with the next unlock. Now, isn't it fascinating how for most altcoins, the movements to the upside tend to be much faster compared to the movements to the downside. We shoot up and then over a long time, we trickle down. Here's the example of Dogecoin relative to the others market cap. So when there's news, when there's a lot of attention, the Dogecoin price shoots up within 1 or 2 days to then come back down over several months. We're seeing the same for the Trump token. We shoot up. This was the announcement of the dinner. And then subsequently, we come back down. There is a difference though between Dogecoin and the Trump token once we zoom out. So again, this is Trump relative to the others market cap. So the market cap of all of these smaller altcoins, and here is Dogecoin relative to the others market cap. So while we do have our pump and dumps in both cryptocurrencies, the long-term trend is very different, as in Dogecoin just goes with the overall market. It simply just trades in a somewhat constant range, while Trump tends to long-term underperform. And there is a fundamental reason why Trump underperforms long-term, and that is tokenomics. It's new tokens that hit the market over time. Have a look at the following data. This is the number of Trump tokens that get released over time. We started off with 200 million. Now we are at 363 million. So it's the early investors, it's the team, etc. that cashes out over time. And that selling pressure, those vesting unlocks, that dumping on retail, that's what's creating the long-term underperformance. Now, some people say that markets are efficient and that everything is already priced in, but I don't think those charts show that. There is inefficiency, and we can simply turn this around. Let's say we've got Bitcoin relative to the Trump token. Then we're getting this chart here. So since Trump launched, Bitcoin outperformed the Trump token by 560%. This is how I believe we can make money in crypto. It's not trying to find the one outperformer among all those altcoins that always go down. It's doing the exact opposite. It's trying to be allocated in a way that we make money when the insiders and the early investors make money as well. When they are dumping on the average retail investor, we make money because things like Trump tend to underperform long term. As long as the token dilution continues, as long as new tokens hit the market, this chart is very likely going to go up. I'm making money with that strategy already for 4 years. This is a monthly chart. Had I just dollar cost average into Bitcoin, I would have gotten the return here in light gray. Instead, I got the return in black because I also bet on falling prices of various altcoins. It is a mistake just looking at US dollar charts. Really what matters is your portfolio value measured in Bitcoin appreciating over time? If the answer is yes, you're probably doing something right. If the answer is no, then you might just stick with Bitcoin and dollar cost average into Bitcoin and stay away from altcoins altogether. The Trump meme coin is just one out of many examples. Most altcoins have an increasing supply, and so here with Balancer relative to Bitcoin, so we go long Bitcoin, we bet on falling prices of Balancer, we can get this long-term chart. The strategy looks quite straightforward. There are a few caveats though. So for example, here with the Bitcoin to Balancer chart, we do have a lot of volatility along the way. Where does this volatility come from? It comes from small market caps. There is some token manipulation. There is some short squeezing happening along the way. And the smaller the market cap is, the more volatility we invite. So while the strategy is long-term profitable, we have to be aware of the potential pitfalls as well. And so I made dedicated videos on the topic. How can we actually make money from those inflating altcoins? Most altcoins do poorly and we don't have to find the needle in the haystack. The one altcoin that does well, we can just bet on the haystack continuing to go down because again, the early investors, the VCs, they cash out and they dump on the retail investor. There are two important videos to watch: using perpetual futures on hyperliquid and risk management with relative valuation bets. It's half an hour each, so in total 1 hour of content. And after you've watched that, you know what to do in order to set up positions like this. Now, this here is currently my favorite trade. So this is the position that I will recommend to you once you have joined the premium membership. So you watch those 2 videos, you join the community. Afterwards, I will send you what to do in order to set up this trade. If you don't make money with that trade after holding it for 1 month, then I'll refund you your membership fee. I'm that confident in the strategy that you can simply just open that position, and if you're in the red, I don't want your money. The fee, by the way, is $125 US per month. Again, if you don't make money with that trade, I will refund that. But of course, it's a monthly fee. So I share all of my trades in real time with the premium members. So for example, over here, this is where I closed a short position on the movement token. Move was also highly inflationary. We opened this over here where we were at the upper end of the trading range on a relative valuation chart. So we always look at the altcoin relative to the rest of the market. And then when we make quick gains, when we get closer to the lower end, we might also take some profit and wait until we go back again to the upper end of the trading range. I know at the beginning this strategy can be a bit daunting, but again, there is support in the different chats. There's also moderators that can help with any questions you might have. So feel free to check it out. The link is directly over here. Just click on the screen. It will lead you to the premium website. If it's the very first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish these regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in premium. Cheers.